Two boys, one podcast. Two boys, one podcast. Your movie connection. When it's time for reflecting, we make fun of each other. Then do film reviews. Winner or loser. Is this movie right for you? Nope, it sucks. Don't press your luck. You better listen to us. Two boys, one podcast.
Hello, and welcome to One Ghost, One Ghoul.
One podcast.
One podcast. It's that time of year again, a little thing I like to call Halloween. And we have for you 5 delightfully frightful films for our Spooktacular Mundo. What do we call it?
The Spooktacular.
Spooktacular Special.
It is special, isn't it?
It is. Here we are. We're at your place. We got a little drink.
Yeah. And as usual, we only do specials.
Yeah. You stole the words out of my mouth. Yeah.
Stepped on your line. Should be used to it by now.
I guess I should, but I never will.
That's
we got
fair.
a special engineer
/ producer.
Sorry.
Yep. SD's in town. Actually, SD took over the show.
Yeah. He's running the game.
He's running things now.
Kind of organized the whole thing. So
Yep.
Thank you.
I'd also like to give a shout out to Anthony Glaze out of Fairbanks and his podcasts Gamer Daddy and Soft Spread.
Hey,
We have a
Tony.
fan.
Hey,
Yeah.
Tony.
Yeah. So thanks for
Remember that
listening.
from Seinfeld.
I do.
Tony. Hey. Hey, thanks for listening, man. Glad to hear. I don't know why you like us, but glad you do.
I'm not going to talk him out of being a fan.
Nope. I still got to catch yours, but I promise I will. I'm sure I will dig it.
Yeah.
Have you listened to it?
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
good. I mean, he does games like we do movies, I guess.
Very cool.
So
I like that. Well, it's Halloween time again.
it is. And we're, as usual, at like a 1-year anniversary of our Frankenstein
Yep.
comic. And issue 2 came to the house today. So
It's pretty cool.
congrats, man.
Congrats to you. Thank
thank
you
you.
for all you did.
And likewise.
And Mikey and,
Yeah,
of
and
course,
Tyler
Mr.
and-
Tyler.
Yeah. And Jason for reading it.
Jason read it.
Yeah.
He's not supposed to read that until it's released.
He got a sneak peek.
What?
Yep, he did.
Son of a bitch.
Mm-hmm.
You're fired. Just kidding.
I don't think we can
no,
fire
easily.
bosses.
That's true.
Like, since he owns the show now, he bought it for a ripe -$1.
I didn't see negative 50 cents of that. Where's
it's
my
'cause
negative
It's because you
50
owe
cents?
money on it, on the
Oh,
deal.
shoot.
We both owe him 50 cents.
Damn it.
Yep.
Do you take JFK 50-cent pieces?
Yeah, he
So
does.
you- Okay, all right.
Especially if it's a scavenger hunt. He has to go find it himself.
A spooky one. Yeah.
So, you want to catch up? You want to just jump into it? What are we doing? It's your show.
Well,
run things
just
here.
run quick. Halloween special. 5 movies don't follow our normal rules. I can just pick whatever I want. Zeke's got to watch them.
Yep.
This year I went with kind of 2 themes, like 2 modern classics and then Toby Hooper appreciation. Because
That is what
before
you called
this
it.
I felt
Yep.
I felt he was an underappreciated horror director.
That is how you felt.
We'll get into that.
I think we will have plenty of discussion about how right or wrong you may have been.
There's some foreshadowing in your voice.
I don't know what you mean. And neither does Toby.
No, Tobe.
So, yeah.
Well, what are you doing this Halloween?
It's pretty quiet. I guess we are screening Little Shop of Horrors for our film festival.
Yep.
We're doing a special, bringing in a heavy hitter, I guess. And that's tonight, right
Yeah.
after we record this. So by the time people hear this,
Yeah, I was just going to say,
it'll be
I'd
post-due.
love for you to... Why don't you plug it for people so they know when they missed it? When was it?
It was today at 6:30 p.m.
Today being...
Today
October
being
30th.
several hours from now. Yeah, so by the time you hear this tomorrow on Halloween, All Hallows Eve, then it'll be over and you'll have missed an opportunity to hang out with some cool people. And that's okay.
It is okay.
Just like another day, every other day where people miss the
Yeah, it's
opportunity to
mostly
hang out
my
with cool
fault
people.
for being hard to get a hold of, so...
Well, no. I mean, I don't know that it would have worked before now to do the special anyway. But special thanks to PSD, producer Supreme Dingus, for making the show happen on time.
Yep.
Usually
Thanks, man.
we celebrate holidays post-mortem.
It's true.
So
Not this time.
not this time, pal. You here to make a movie? Not this time, pal.
This time, pal. Well, that's pretty cool, man. I'm glad you got that going on.
Yeah, it's kind of fun.
Is there heavy hitter? Just the movie itself, or is there
Just the movie itself.
Okay,
Like we
gotcha.
usually do.
Yep.
We are screening
Little Shop?
Dominic's independent Black Eyed
Okay.
Girl
Oh, cool.
ahead of time, and then we're doing Little Shop of Horrors. But usually we just do indies, like an assortment of shorts or features. So this time people have actually heard of it, so more people might come.
Awesome.
Yeah,
We'll tell you about it on our next episode, regular episode.
yeah.
Well,
6 months from now.
6 months.
No, I mean we do
I'll
have.
do better.
No,
I'll
we
try
we
to.
have. I guess last year we did do a Thanksgiving special.
We did. Yep.
So we'll think about that. We'll think hard.
We should probably just do regular episodes.
We probably should. Yeah, or find a holiday every month.
PTSD.
Yeah, yeah.
I gotta say, I think I'm starting to hate Halloween.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
that's bold.
Last
Like more
4
than
years,
Christmas?
It's been trash.
I mean, yes, it has.
Just garbage.
Yeah, mostly. I mean, there have
Yeah.
been some that I have enjoyed more than others, but overall, we haven't watched any that.
Halloween. Well, I'm not even talking about our special. I just mean in general.
Oh dang! Like you haven't. So usually you spend many days through October
Yeah,
watching
that part
horror
was okay.
specials.
Well,
Were
it's
there
just
any?
around it.
Were there any that we haven't covered that we're not covering on this podcast that you actually liked?
that I've watched?
Yeah, that you watched this Halloween.
Got to give a big shout out to Anything for Jackson. It's on Shudder. I think it's probably exclusive.
Yeah,
Pretty,
makes sense.
Pretty groovy little one. I was surprised by it. If you like found footage, Grave Encounters is good. The Poughkeepsie tapes is all right.
Hmm.
Oh, Taking a Deborah Morgan, of course. That's it. That's all I'm plugging.
I'd like to pitch a short film to you.
Okay,
An
sure.
original.
Yeah.
That was the title was inspired by one of the movies we're covering. But I would like you to make a project called Exorcising Your Demons
Mm-hmm.
about a demon walker.
Demon Walker.
Yeah, like a dog walker.
Oh, gotcha.
He
Okay.
exercises your demons.
Oh, so he pops into your body for a while and takes it for a spin?
Yeah, just keeps it fit. Keeps it tight.
Keeps the body or the demon?
Demon. He doesn't care about your body. Or she, the person.
I like it. I like that.
Yeah. Exercising your demons. I'll bring it up next year.
Okay. So, I like it because, I mean, most of the time you're getting exercise, you're tied down to a bed, so that demon's really
Right. Wreak havoc on that body.
atrophy.
Yeah.
Let it get
Well,
its
that-
energy out.
Yeah.
Goes back in the other person. It's going to be easier to exercise.
They need some pumping up too.
Okay.
I
like it.
I don't love it. I like it.
I don't like you, but I like your idea.
That's fair. I mean, that's better than I usually get.
I'm just kidding. I love you. I love you to death.
Love it a lot. Yeah, it's good to see you, man. I haven't
Good to see
seen
you, too.
you. We haven't done an in-person podcast. It's been a bit. Hook. I guess that's true.
July 4th.
Yep. So it has been a while. It's been a bit. 3.5 months.
My friends from Canada, what are they called?
Canucks.
No, there's that terrible, but silver. Been a while. That's what I was trying to do. Shout out to Nick, our old co-host. I know he's
Yeah.
out there listening.
He's in
commenting.
Canada?
No,
Oh.
it's just forget it. It's a reference just for him.
Well, I hope that he's laughing out loud right now.
Nickelback. That's it. Been a while.
There you go. Do you think that he's looking at that photograph when he says that?
Yeah, I bet he is.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
That's the only reference I can come up with.
It's the only two. That's it. Enough about Nickelback, I think.
Yep.
Even though it is pretty terrible, so that's maybe a good horror thing. I don't know.
I mean, it's your show. I'm
Okay.
gonna give you the reins.
Should we just hop in?
Let's do it.
You got people to see and films to show.
You just do you, man.
PTSD's got chillins.
Does
Got
have
to take 'em
chillins.
trick-or-treating. What are they going to be?
Evil clown
Evil clown?
and a pumpkin.
And a pumpkin.
Space clown. Space clown.
It can be evil clown from outer
No.
space. Evil
We
clown
covered
from-
that
No.
on.
Yeah.
Was it last Halloween? 2 Halloweens ago.
I think that was number 2nd year.
it's been a bit. Is this number 4?
It's been a while. 5.
Oh, this is the 4th anniversary. 5th
Well, okay.
Halloween.
No, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. 4th. Is that how you? So
I don't know.
don't you need to be married for 51 years before it's 50 years then? Because if it's the 50th anniversary, the first one.
That's a good question.
I think you're nuts.
I probably am. Yeah. Hit it.
Okay. Let's hit the modern classics first. You can choose which one you like.
Me?
Yeah, so you know which two I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I do. All right. Let's do It Follows first.
It follows. 2014. A young woman is followed by an unknown supernatural force after a sexual encounter.
Daydream about being old enough to go on dates. I had this image of myself holding hands with a really cute guy, driving along some pretty road. It's never about going anywhere, really. It's having some sort of freedom, I guess.
Jay, you awake? You're not gonna believe me, and I need you to remember what I'm saying.
This is fun.
This thing.
I like having like the
follow
trailer play.
I was just going to say the production
gave it to
value has
me.
gone up
It
1,000%.
hit
I
1,000.
passed it to you.
Sorry, I didn't realize this was coming. I would have.
Wherever you are,
Nailed it.
somewhere, walking straight for you. All you can do is pass it along to someone else.
Zeke, I'm going to preface this by saying if you say anything bad about the sound, I am going to fucking punch you in the face.
I was just gonna say the trailer sounds great. The trailer makes the movie
Close.
sound wonderful.
Because it is.
Do you want me to
Modern.
go first, or do you want?
Go right ahead. Go
All
right
right.
ahead.
So, I guess I have a question after you go on how the movie begins on the beach.
Uh-huh.
I didn't quite understand that part, so we'll get to that. I did
I have the
appreciate
answer.
when they're at the theater,
Mhm.
the movie playing a charade.
Yeah.
Which I thought was fun. It's also
Charade.
Charade. Evil Dead premiered there, like for real, at that theater
Oh, no kidding.
in 1981.
Oh, cool.
The running in this film, -$1, automatically, -1. And I think they should have considered
They
a
were
title
frightened.
change. From it's called It Follows. They should have called it It Drags. That's
Brother.
where I'm going. Everybody knows that the best point of surveillance in a playground is the merry-go-round. So they were foolish. She was a fool to sit on the swing set. So this whole thing is like
Yeah.
this is like there's a lot of alluding in this film. So basically, this guy sleeps with this young girl, and in order for him,
Protagonist.
yeah, the female protagonist, she has to, in order to get rid of this like slow walking curse
Demon that'll kill her.
that wants
Well,
to kill
whatever, I
her,
don't know if it's demon, but
she has to sleep with somebody else and pass it on.
yeah, it's a sexually transmitted demon.
Yep. Yeah, I called it an STZ,
What's the
sexually
Z?
transmitted zombie.
That's not a zombie.
Okay, doesn't matter. STD, fine. So and then she has to pass it on to somebody else as quickly as she can. But if that person dies from the demon, then it works its way back down.
Yeah.
So that's the premise of the film. All right. So
So you don't like the premise either, huh?
we're gonna get into that for a second. So
Oh, boy.
I wish that when she ran through the playground, which was dumb, she sat on a swing, and so she's always being snuck up on. But if she would have gone to the merry-go-round, she would have been able to surveil
Oh, for crying out
the
loud.
area.
I mean, she's panicking. You think she's thinking about that?
You know what she is a child. So,
Yeah, okay.
Okay. So also, I am not a
agree on
fan
the
of
opposite
teen
ends of that.
films with nudity, which we've established.
Yeah, there wasn't any.
Okay, there is no nudity, but they are having sex as children.
Well, he was 21.
She may have been 18. The guy she sleeps with at the end, not. Like he's in high school.
All right.
For sure. So that's statutory rape.
Okay.
Also, they managed to make a film in Detroit with only white people, which seems really weird. So,
Well, there are white people in Detroit. I don't
there
know if you know
are,
that.
but it was 100%, which was even in the theater was weird.
Mm-hmm.
I think this film would have been a lot better. I recommend making it into a short film, and then everybody should die.
Okay.
Um,
And that one I don't disagree with. I think most of your arguments are superficial.
no, I just have there are a lot of this.
I mean, statutory rape is not superficial,
Yeah.
but I mean, it's movies, so, they do that kind of thing.
Yeah, and I don't like any of them.
Yeah,
that do it.
I know. So then
So-
that's $1 off there.
That's $1 off there.
So we're down to
Also,
99
she
cents.
keeps running
1.99.
into jumping into the car and
Yeah,
driving,
yeah.
and she's a terrible driver.
Yeah,
She's
well, she's getting away from the
A slow walking demon.
Well, what do you're gonna walk slowly away from it?
No, just like drive 10 miles an hour slowly away
Why?
until dawn, and you'll be fine.
Or you could speed away and be even further away.
The demons don't really, other than slow walking, they must have a mode of transportation.
No, I don't think so.
Like, why would one of them climb onto a roof?
To get to you.
She wasn't on the roof.
Oh, when she was driving away, it was up on the roof?
Yeah.
Fear, they scare you, man. It's also, it just wants to spook you. It's like, I'm coming. I'm up
and
here.
then, like, they keep trying to kill the demon by shooting it when they're clearly not living.
Well, I don't know.
And then,
what are you going to do?
Well, I mean, one of them hid behind a beach chair while someone was shooting at them, which is about the worst place to hide.
Because he was getting shot at.
Yeah, and he hid behind a beach chair.
It's the only thing there.
It's like hiding behind a fishing
What's he
net.
supposed to do? Throw sand? I mean,
Run away.
build a bunker?
Literally, in most cases in this film,
You
literally
hear
run away.
gunshots, so you think you're getting shot at. You see something.
When she drove into the cornfield from there, the movie just should have ended.
You should have ended.
When they had sex in the hospital bed with the random neighbor, when she's like, I thought he'd be fine, literally setting him up to die, that's fine. They both should have just died. Like the nurse demon should have come in, killed them both, worked its way back down. That girl is also the worst lookout in the world. She's staring out her window as the demon crosses the street into her neighbor's room.
Well, she doesn't know.
Which she just slept with.
She doesn't know if it's a
taps
demon.
on her window. She taps on it. Like that's going to make a difference. And then tries calling him. It's like 2 a.m. And then
I don't know if she was officially a lookout. I think she was just...
She's staring into oblivion. Well, she noticed it. I mean,
yeah.
That whole scene was to establish that she notices this sexually transmitted demon going across the street. And then...
I don't know about that.
Okay, you can defend it. You can go ahead. All of the rest of my stuff is like questions on the story,
Sure.
which I'm not sure I'll get answers to.
I haven't a lot of energy to defend it. My was going to get real rough later in this podcast. I don't know. I just think it's suspenseful. I mean, I just love that the feeling of impending doom. I think the sound mix is great.
The sound mix is great.
Just the retro, 80s synthesizer track. I mean, that's huge. I think the few scenes when you do see the whatever it is, I think those are good spooky things, and they really ramp up the music, and I think that's really nice. I like that you don't know what it is, and that you don't see it. It's kind of, for me, it's kind of the the Jaws thing. You wish you hadn't shown the shark so much. You know, I think they nailed that. I don't think it's supposed to be super exciting, and I don't think the movie has to be super exciting. I think that a slow, drawn-out, suspenseful, what the hell is this? What's going on? I like that.
I agree. I did like that part of it. I didn't like when they would show it and it was just another naked person, because they could show another naked person.
I've got nothing against, no defense against the naked people. That seem random. Maybe it seems more scary, more gross. I don't know. They weren't always naked.
They weren't always naked, but some of them were like seemingly halfway.
Again, I guess I would just have to say it's probably just the entity trying to be frightening. I mean, I don't know why it wants to also scare and kill.
Yeah.
But why? I mean, why is it doing it anyways?
I did really like that it's a well-known movie,
Mm-hmm.
and it is clearly very independent.
Yeah, well, good.
Like none of the actors are known. The cinematography is solid. Like there were no scenes I was like, man, they really forced that to like they rushed it or the camera wasn't there. All of it looked clean throughout. I didn't like that they kept showing like random, like, oh, there's this other person that's naked slowly walking towards you, and then the scenes were long, and I get like indie scenes are typically longer, but it would have been better off with them not knowing what was coming. For me, like to not see what was coming.
It was invisible.
Yeah.
But doesn't it add to the suspense to that it could be anyone, that you can see it, but you just don't know? It could be your mom.
Yes, they said that it could be anybody that you know, but I also really liked the beach scene where you could see that it was coming from behind her, and then you couldn't see it when it grabbed her hair,
right,
and then threw the other kid. And I thought that his abdomen would start rotting away.
Well, I guess you'd have to look at it from. We were seeing it from her point of view, and then from somebody else's point of view, so we could see it when we were in her point of view, but not when.
So typically through the whole movie, we could only see it from the person who's infected point of view, except for that
true.
one scene.
Okay, all right. I still don't think that's a huge downfall.
No, I mean I'm
Small
not
tick.
docking it for the tick. I'm docking it for the running. I'm docking it for the statutory
Running.
rape, and I'm docking it for like just some other like the other sense that I'm docking it are for the I guess right above the ticks. So
What are your questions? Lay them on me.
so it opens with a girl with her. She's dead on the beach.
Yep.
And is that foreshadowing to the end? Is that do we open on the end of the film, or is that whoever had given it to the guy?
How about that's what the latter. is
Okay.
mine. But maybe it's foreshadowing to the end too. I don't know. But
Because
I just took it on the basis of it was
okay.
maybe not even the guy girl that gave it to the guy, but somewhere further up the chain. And then
Because it just seems like it looked like a gruesome death.
Yeah.
And it's like what would happen? I guess by the end of the movie you realize that's what could happen. Sort of, but when one of the guys was sexed to death, like they basically milk him dry.
Yep.
The body didn't look like that.
Well, we don't know. We didn't get to see it. I mean, we saw it in the process. We didn't see it post-mortem. So it's my assumption that it just kind of rough sex you to death. Like
I mean, her hip was dislocated and her knee was hyperextended.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, who knows what? Like again, we didn't see
Yeah.
the boy after.
Yeah, that's fair. I get another question is like why like she goes out into the ocean, and we assume she has sex with 3 guys.
Mm-hmm.
Why not just stay on the boat? Like,
Sure. Well,
like how is the demon gonna get to you if you just stay on the boat?
it's a good question. I don't know. Does it walk on the bottom of the ocean?
They never
Swim up?
show. Like all these kids, these literally children, have this plan on how to get rid of this thing. None of them involved like just isolating yourself in a boat.
I mean, you're living a boat the rest of your life.
I mean, they're not going to have the rest of their life. They're going to have, a temporary reprieve.
Sure. I don't know, Zeke. I don't know why they didn't stay on the boat.
Yep. Okay.
Seasick. They got seasick.
Well, she was certainly sick after that. Like the next scene, she looked pretty rough.
Yeah.
So, and again, she was maybe like 19 or 20. So,
Okay.
and then the kids, like they were literally children. So,
Well, you say children, that makes me think like 10-year-olds. These were like
they were probably 16,
15 to
15,
17.
16. Yeah.
So I think children is, even teens seems young. They seem like young adults.
They were in high school.
Yeah. All right.
So, yeah, I'm giving you my 2 cents on it, I guess. So.
Put those 2 cents back in your rating, baby. I don't want to hear it.
Okay. What do you want to do here?
Sex or the Saw, and we can give it sex. Good old STD sex. There you go.
You're just passing it along, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Straight on down the road. I'm giving this a solid 75 cents.
Jeez Louise.
I added your 2 cents in.
So it was
75.
73 cents?
Yeah.
Before. Okay. What was your own cents? Your own 2 cents?
Yeah, I put them
Put
back
my
in.
put my 2 cents in, make it 77.
I'll leave it at 75.
76?
75.
76?
I'll give you 76.
All right.
All right.
Well, everyone
Out of
I
a
do, it's
$2.99
definitely
rating.
worth a shot. Man, that just seems so terribly low. It's a well-made movie. It's good.
It's well made. Story's not well written.
I think you can be forgiven.
I mean, it's an independent film, but I just feel like if you're gonna make the movie, make it based on a script that is there. That's all. Like it would have been fine. The movie would have been just as interesting if you would have set it 5 years later for all of the kids, and it would have made him another $1. But no, it would have been $1.75.
So it's because if it was adults.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah.
I see.
it would have been fine. But it's just like
Well, everybody listen to that. If you can set aside that they're teens, that adds it to 175 for his rating.
it is 76 cents.
76 is 176.
Yep.
Zeke maybe makes it sound a little worse than it is. Yeah, it is statutory rape, but it's not like a huge like sex scene. It's just
It's under a blanket. There's no nudity.
Yeah.
But still, like,
I get it. I appreciate the fact, that you don't like it, and I respect that. But I'm just letting people know it's nothing too terribly,
Yep.
too terrible.
What did you gave it a positive? So
Yeah. It's probably somewhere around 30 or 40%.
30 or 40%?
Yeah.
That's a passing?
No, I didn't say it was passing.
Oh, that if you merge ours.
merged, yeah,
I
yeah.
thought you were saying yours was around
No,
30
no,
or 40%. I was like,
no.
sweet.
Mine would probably be something like 80, 85.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I dig it.
Damn. All right.
Damn,
Mine's
you.
around a 25%. That's right.
Boo to you.
Well,
So I guess that would be more like 50 then.
Hmm.
All right.
great. All right. You want me to pick the next one, or you want to do it?
Oh, we gotta do the witch. We're doing the modern classics first.
All right. That's right.
The next modern classic, the Vitch.
The Vitch.
And anyone that's seen it spelt out on the internet? Oh, never mind.
Bah, 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 bah. Like Philip Stiff, you are wicked.
Does he really speak to thee?
This wilderness will not consume us.
Who's there?
You've cursed this family. This is witchcraft.
She plays a curse on me.
Why have you turned against me?
I saw it.
Your reign of evil. It's not safe. Not with them.
Think on thy sins.
Yeah, Zeke, think on your sins. A family in 1630s New England is torn apart by the forces of witchcraft, black magic, and possession.
Yep. You want me to go first again?
Yeah, go right ahead.
All right. First notes are, I'm glad that online it's just called The Witch and not the real spelling of it, where it's just VV.
Yeah.
It's just confusing.
Is that the real spelling?
VVITCH.
Is it?
That's how the W wasn't widely used at that time.
Oh, I see. I didn't realize
So
that.
that's why
Well,
they spelled
kinda
it that way. Which is, that's fine and all, but like Googling things, if you don't just change it, it's weird. Anyway.
Do you have to put in the VV to search it properly?
No, now it's just listed online as The Witch.
But
But the DVD cover that I have is VV.
the V.
Ralph Ineson, who plays the father, should work more.
Yeah, he was great.
I really like him in everything he does. Anna Taylor-Joy, this is before she had her huge year last year.
Mm-hmm.
She plays everything. Like, her characters are always strange, kind of like a female Johnny Depp character that
Okay, sure.
It's good. Like, I'm not saying it's bad. It's just like it's a fun. Like, that's how I associate all of her characters. It's just like this Johnny Depp character. The little sister in it is amazing. Like, she stole the show for me.
Yeah. Clickety, clickety, clickety,
Yep.
clickety.
Katie Dickey is the mother.
Uh-huh. What else is she in?
She's in Game of Thrones.
Oh, yeah, she's
the same character all the time.
The
She always plays
door lady.
Yeah, the Veil.
Yeah.
Queen of the Veil or whatever. She always plays an extreme oddity and is always weird and is a poor parent and like breastfeeding her old children.
It's Game of Thrones, everyone, not this movie.
Yeah, this one she just like breastfeeds a goat and a crow.
Well, she was totally tripping out and possessed, dude.
Yeah, but that's like that's her character all the time. And she plays
just
this like
breastfeeding.
really weird character.
She has that in her contract. I have to breastfeed.
I have to be a weird parent. I basically, at this point, I think it's just fair to say that A24 will, if you have a story that involves naked witch orgies, A24 is in the market to produce it.
What did they do? Suspiria or something? What else are you talking about?
They did the Midsommar. They did
Hereditary, I'm sure.
Hereditary. They did. There was another one that literally just says like
Slipped your mind.
Yeah, it's just like at the end of it, you're like, oh, I bet there's gonna be a naked witch orgy. Oh, yeah, there it is. Cool. Great.
They love a good naked witch orgy.
Or like anything with
Man.
sheep or goats. Like they just put lamb out. Same thing. Like, cool. At least there's a tell.
I mean, I think you can take these individual movies for their own merit. You don't have to lump it together and say
They're
it's
all produced by
shit.
the same people.
So what? You don't have to say it's shit just because
I'm
it's...
not saying it's shit because of that. I'm just saying like
I just assume you hate everything.
There's a theme. Like there's just
Okay,
it's just
all
a
right.
weird theme, and I don't understand how it's always minors, virgins, sheep, witch orgies. Like there's like those are the 4 pillars of horror films these days.
Well, I don't know about the underageness. I mean, sex has always been a part of horror movies.
Yeah, but now it's just underage. Like Anna Taylor-Joy was not a minor when she filmed this, but she played one.
Sure.
Her character was very much like 14 years old.
There's $1 off on this one.
$1 off on that.
All right.
So Anna forces the little brother to take her to the woods, and then she rides the horse the little brother was going to take for himself, which seemed weird.
She's the lady.
Like they just walk. They basically like they stand up for not being witches, and then they go to the woods and are attacked by witches, and the witches destroy them.
Yeah, what exactly were they going to do? I missed that. They were going to catch some food?
No,
So just a little bit in the backstory. Everyone, it's set in the 1630s. They're all pilgrims. I don't know why they wear those hats. It's one of my notes. Why do they always have to have those hats? For the sun, I guess. Anyways.
so the aliens don't
they
get into their brains.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Buy that. Anyways, they're on something called a plantation, just some town somewhere, and they're kicked out, and then they make their own house, and they live in the middle of nowhere, and then witches.
Yeah, so the first scene,
Their baby boy is abducted.
Anna Taylor-Joy is playing peekaboo with the infant child in the woods, and then she goes to
Near
do the boo, and the baby's gone. And then it shows a naked old witch hag using the baby grease to rub all over her body and
Keeping her
her
young.
broom. And then it shows the young witch in like a flashback making out with the child.
Yep.
The other brother.
The other brother.
The other brother. Yeah. I mean, they did a good period piece. It's Old English. It's well shot. They use natural light or existing light with like the lamps, so it looks cool. And they kind of allude to the mold that was growing on some of the food that may have caused the witch hysteria. But this takes place 62 years before the Salem witch trials, so it was still a thing.
Right.
I guess I don't know, like the youngest sister had the best lines to me, and she just stole the whole show.
I be the witch of the wood.
Yeah, she had the coolest lines. Objectifying a minor again at the end when Anna Taylor-Joy, who is unnecessarily naked, just walks into the forest. And then again, it's a big shock. It's an A24 movie. Ends with a bunch of witches in a circle that end up flying naked.
That was your takeaway, huh?
That was the takeaway. So yeah, that's a A24 movie objectifying a minor, naked witch orgy. A24 strikes again.
I really hated that when they went into the woods. They couldn't see properly because all the trees.
yeah, the visibility was low in the middle of the forest.
So I'm gonna have to take $1 off of that for that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they were looking for the baby or if he was just like, I'm gonna, because the sister, because she's an older sibling, is just, and her younger siblings are just giving her hell. Like there's 5 kids, and she's like, leave me alone, or I'll hex you, or bewitch you.
Yeah, she pretends that
and
she
so
is.
She pretends that she is a witch. And
They're
then
ultra religious, of course.
Yep, they're pilgrims.
Needs to be mentioned.
Yep, they're pilgrims in it. But this film has also been embraced by the Satanic Church, and they show it frequently.
Oh, really?
Yep. But then it turns out like the goat that they have is also really the devil.
Yep.
So
Scratch himself.
Yeah, Black Phillip. So he like puts I don't know who was hexed first, I guess. If it was the 2 little kids or if it was like Anna Taylor-Joy. I don't know how it worked out, but then there was like this massacre of other lambs and they're all livestock in the middle of the night, and then out of nowhere Black Phillip impales the dad, and then the mom comes out in hysteria. They never show the little kids again. Like they're just gone.
Well, I think it's assumed they were taken, or same fate befell them as the small baby.
So in the trivia for this, they say that they really only want young boys.
Okay.
For that they rub their young boy baby fat on their brooms and bodies, and it keeps them young. But I guess maybe they did take both of them. I don't know. It never showed them again.
Right. Yeah, that is.
And then the mother signs the book of the devil, and then accuses her daughter of being a witch, which seems really weird to me.
Did she?
Yeah. So when she's like hallucinating and breastfeeding the sheep or something out of like her third nipple. She has the book to what she's hallucinating and talking to her dead son.
Mm-hmm.
She has the book in front of her and like makes her mark in it. So it's weird that she, in the very next scene, accuses her daughter of being a witch when she's just signed her name in the book of the devil.
Maybe she didn't realize what she was doing.
Okay. But again, she plays the same hysterical character as she always does. So
Sure.
Like she was just hysterical the whole movie. That was her character. Hysterical. I want to go back home to England. She should have just gone back home to England because she abandoned all of her kids in the end anyway.
I guess that's true, but I mean, she had some mental illness / demonic possession, I'd say there.
Yeah. I mean, in the end, it was just like they did a good job of depicting how miserable that life would have been.
Yeah.
It looked awful. And then the dad was like a bad farmer.
Yeah.
So all he could do was chop wood, but he couldn't chop a goat.
Chop the shit out of some wood.
Yeah. They spent a lot of time showing him chop wood.
Well, that was his way of getting away, stepping away. I don't think it was.
Yeah, no. I mean, I get it. He had a lot. He had plenty of wood there to cut, and his wife was a lunatic. So
get his mind off things.
Yep. I mean, he should have just gone into the woods and stayed there. That's what I would have done.
Well, they were going to pack up and go back to the plantation. They should have done that.
Yeah, they should have.
Yeah, that's a good point about the miserable life. Just like a silver cup being so valuable and like an heirloom to the mom, but the dad traded it without telling.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing. Like, what good does
causes a huge issue and suspicion. And
what good does an heirloom do if you're going to starve to death?
Yeah, well, that is true. But nonetheless, that something like that, such a seemingly trivial thing could cause such a...
Yeah. I mean, I feel like the character development on this, and it's probably a little accurate for the time where it's hysterical. Like, not in a funny way, but just like mass hysterics.
Well, I mean, the dialogue is all about, God this, God that.
Yeah.
You don't be evil. I'm a sinner. Like,
that's
their whole life is based around this thing. So, I mean, they're doing it to themselves. But I mean, I think that really sets a good tone for the movie. And
yeah, I mean, it's very Shakespearean, and I think that it's I don't know. I have a problem with these period pieces where they spend so much time dwelling on like the loss of a loved one.
Mm-hmm.
Like, certainly that is unfortunate and that sucks, but I don't think that they viewed death the same way that we do now.
Sure.
Like, we have a very simpler life, no matter where you live now. But then, like, people died literally all the time. If the ground was too hard, you had the body in the kitchen on the table. Like, it was just like, well, we can't dig a hole, so we'll keep them there. Oh, we have like 13 kids, 6 died. We'll reuse some of the names.
I mean, I don't know. Sure, it is a lot more common, but I don't think it was any less, impactful to the loved ones. I mean,
I don't think that life was cheap, but I just don't think they could dwell on it the same way because life was so difficult.
They did bring up the baby quite a bit, but I don't think the whole movie focused around that.
Well, it was a catalyst, I guess. So it seemed like they dwelled on the baby and then started neglecting the living.
Sure.
Which
I can buy that.
Caused a lot of problems. And then they were very quick to call, like, oh, you're a witch. And when, like, there's nowhere to run. Like, you just need to... I don't understand. Yeah. Go back to the plantation, which they were not eligible to do. They were going to send the kids to the plantation and then live there until they died, I guess. I don't know. There was a lot of unanswered, like, story arcs. Like, you could tell it wasn't going to happen because it didn't make sense.
Yeah. Well, it wouldn't be much of a movie if they got away.
Yeah. I mean, that's fine, but then, like, Anna Taylor-Joy strips down naked, walks into the forest, and joins the coven. Like, give my regards to the coven.
Well, I mean, she'd been through quite a bit. I'm not saying that she'd been through enough to sign your soul off to the devil, but she did.
She watched the devil kill her dad.
Well,
then she killed her mom, who had already signed the book of the devil.
Or who was choking her.
Yes, who had already signed the book of the devil.
Yeah.
So the devil ruined her life, and she's like, I'm in. Sign me up.
Well, he said she could live. What term did he use? Marvelously.
Marvelously. I mean, the witches that
Marvelously.
all the witches that you ever see are like pretty depicted in a miserable fashion, like they're rotting from the inside out. So that's what she has to look forward to, and then they're basically abducting children, which was catastrophic to her. Like she blamed herself for losing the kid, and then she's just gonna go do that to other families and other girls. That's great. If you can't beat them, join them.
Yeah, why not?
I guess.
I think the reveal of Black Phillip actually being the devil is pretty cool when you see his feet walk by. One of them is a hoof, and one of them is a booted foot. So he's half goat, half human, at least at that point.
It's another A24. It's lamb. Yeah.
It's got lamb.
It's got lamb.
Just his voice, I think that's a really cool, creepy scene.
It is a creepy scene.
Thou wish?
Yep.
Really well done. I think the whole thing, again, about this, and It Follows for me, I just think the sound is just incredible.
The sound mix is very good, and it's very well shot. I mean, they shot it at 1:6:1, I think, so like the aspect ratio was really nice. It was clean. It's not common to see a film that way, so that part is good.
Just the plot, huh?
Yeah, if the story doesn't make sense, it's not a movie that I enjoy. So
I mean, I think you look too deep into it. I mean, family, witches, all dead, boom. I mean, with the devil's after him.
But I mean, like you can go to a gallery and see art. Like movies are expensive and they're very difficult. So if you can't make the whole thing, don't make the whole thing. Like make it a book.
It's not the whole thing to you, but it is to others.
I mean, that's. I don't think anybody's defending the story for making perfect sense. Like, and that's the thing. The director Edgar he said like, well, there's a lot of allegories. I don't think there's any allegories. Like, it seems pretty straightforward. Like witches, and then you made them real. Okay, so it's not even that they alluded to the mold that would be causing the hysteria. They made, in the very last scene, they make it a point, again, unnecessarily bringing in a bunch of naked people. Oh, let's make the witches real and have them fly away on their brooms.
Well, they always were real.
But in the story, they could have been real or not real.
That's true.
They just forced the ending unnecessarily.
That was a cool ending, though.
I could have done without the ending. I could have had her in the woods with Black Phillip, walking off, fully clothed, and gotten the same. Like, okay, I get it. Like, he's the devil. Cool.
Yeah, but it's not as impactful as seeing the witches float away and that music going. And
I mean, the music could have been there too.
It wouldn't have been the same.
Or
imagery.
she could have flown off. Like, there's just a lot of things. Like, she could have been a witch. Like, like they never specified anything on like which ones were actually witches, which ones weren't, until the end, where like the kids disappear.
No one was.
There was a bunch of witches.
Well, but none of the family was a witch.
Well, Anna became one at the end. Like, she floated
but
up.
the whole
again, like she was not actually a minor at the time, but at the end they show her naked in a tree, flying up.
You don't see anything. Yeah.
Yeah, you do. I don't know. You can't tell if it's her because it's like literally from the bottom up, and her head is leaning back, so it could have been a double. But her character is very much a minor in the story.
Yeah.
So that's again like making the same argument.
I have to remember next year, no A24.
I don't think I've ever seen an A24 film and been like, oh yeah, I'm gonna drink that Kool-Aid. And everybody else that likes horror films loves them. They're like, oh, it's an A24 film. That's great. Like the two I've seen this year, I'm like, so it's just like an hour and a half too long and nothing happens at the end. Cool.
That's funny.
Love
this
me
one,
some
not
of
an hour and a half too long.
This one's a good length.
Yeah,
it is a good length. You want me to rate it?
Go for it.
All right. Objectifying a minor character again, -$1. Another naked witch orgy claimed as an original storyline, -$1. 75 cents.
But you're comparing it to other films. You're not giving it a fair shake as a standalone film with that second dollar being deducted, my friend.
I mean, okay, another a naked witch orgy that would unnecessarily put into the storyline.
The wording right.
-$1. 75 cents.
All right. full of joy over here. Sex or the Saw, I'm giving it 6. And then we got a full-fledged, naked, 16:30, middle of the night, middle of the woods, floating air.
Naked witch orgy.
Orgasm.
Yeah, okay. So that's just more goop on the broomstick then.
Yeah, a lot more goop.
Great. Okay. So what's that, another 50% then?
A little better. I'd probably give this one
Up to
90.
65? Oh, you're giving it a 90. Okay.
I really like this one.
So 55, 57%, somewhere
I
in
think
there.
everything about it. Man, it would have been great to have been in the art department.
Yeah, I mean, everything that they had was good. I mean, especially for a first-time director, the casting was very well done.
Mm-hmm.
Except I don't love the mother in anything that she does. Like
Sure.
I respect that she does her character very well, and I'm not supposed to like her, but I don't ever like that character. And I don't know if it's the writing that I don't like or if it's just that combination. But like she's a human. I don't hate her. I just don't like the character she brings to the table.
Have to bring her on.
I'm sure she's gonna want to talk to me. Yeah,
Make her cry.
just no breastfeeding.
That's all I can do. Do you want some milk?
No.
I would just like to say before we move on to the Toby Hooper appreciation portion of the podcast that It Follows and The Witch are pretty good movies, and Zeke is really underselling them. I think 75 cents is really, really nitpicky.
It's 25%.
Unnecessary. I can't even see below a 60% on these, either one of them. I really think, I mean, you got the big, the underage thing, so okay. So I guess that's where it is, but I think at least 50% for both of these.
I mean, I think both of them would have been around 55% for me.
If not for those issues.
All right. Yeah.
Just so everyone
But
else
those
knows.
issues were done intentionally, and
They were. I will not argue that.
I will not.
The
budge
dude
on
will
it.
not abide.
I will not abide, said the dude. Yep.
Okay.
All right, next up. Do you care which one happens first?
Well, we could go. I think we can both agree in the order of how good they are. Do you want to work from the bottom up or the
Let's go from the top down.
top down? All right. Toby Hooper.
I guess let's start with why you picked him
Sure.
as basically to headline your special.
Well, I was kind of struggling to find movies this year. I don't know why. I mean, right now I can think of some, but making that final choice is difficult. And then I just thought, well, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I think for Zeke's sake, he should probably see that. It's a pretty momentous movie for horror genre. And I started thinking Toby Hooper, and I was like, I haven't seen much of what he's done, and I love that, and I love Texas Chainsaw Massacre too. Poltergeist is good. Let's dive into that. And then I saw Joe Bob from the last drive-in had a segment about just how Toby Hooper was shit on his whole career and couldn't catch a break really. So I thought, yeah, I would like to investigate that a little more and see if it's true. I loved everything I've seen.
Sure.
So first time ever for a Halloween special, 2 of these films I had not seen previously.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, I think we've discussed on the podcast before. I have seen several of the scenes from Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but I've never seen the whole thing. Specifically, like him running in the sunset.
Do we have a sound bit?
Sorry, let's get. Yeah, sorry, I don't want to skip ahead.
No.
What happened was true. The most bizarre and brutal series of crimes in America.
Last 2 had that strange sound.
Such a strange choice for the trailer to have.
Like 4 years apart, too.
I wonder what's happening.
Sums it out. I don't know. Somebody's having a good time.
It's probably her. I didn't realize this was about a werewolf.
Stop! Stop!
There it is.
This is the movie that is just as real just as close. Just as terrifying as being there. Even if one of them survives, what will be left? The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. After you stop screaming, you'll start talking about it.
I'd like to give our producer the chance to open his drink if he would like to.
Miller time.
Do you have the synopsis over there?
Yeah, I sure do. 5 friends head out to rural Texas to visit the grave of a grandfather. On the way, they stumble across what appears to be a deserted house, only to discover something sinister within. Something armed with a chainsaw.
I don't know that that's an accurate assessment, but yeah. I mean,
Yeah, sure it is.
So, I guess I didn't know. The only real whole story of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and we've talked about this before, that I knew was the second one, which we've covered on a Spooktacular before. And they're very different genres. Like, they're horror.
Sure.
But this is, like, and not in a bad way. Like, that was more of like a comedic horror.
Yeah.
This one is more of like just straight-laced horror.
Right.
And I guess I don't know enough about, like, this was like Jaws, where they didn't actually intend to make a huge juggernaut, or were they hoping it would be huge?
From what I understand, they of course they wanted it to be huge, but they didn't expect it to be the phenomenon that it became.
Yeah. Because there were a lot of elements of this that I actually did really like.
Yeah. It's iconic.
Yeah.
If you like it or not, that's one thing. But
the SVU opening, like as you get from the trailer, like that's and I honestly don't think that you could convince me that the opening credits didn't inspire George Lucas to do the New Hope credits. And it's 3 years later that he made A New Hope.
I don't think it can be understated how influential this movie has been to filmmaking, specifically horror, but just I'm sure people draw that sound that like I've caught that in quite a few things, or something similar to that, the flash, like the like I've seen it being in things that have been inspired by that in quite a bit.
Mm-hmm. And I
as
think
an example,
I would like to see elements of this movie become more prevalent in modern horror.
Sure.
They should have called him New Hope Hooper after this one. New Hope Hooper.
Yeah, that's what I thought, man.
Yeah, Toby on the street.
Toby on the street.
So basically there's these 5 kids on a road trip, and then they're going to visit what they make appear like 2 of them are siblings.
Yeah,
and they're
one
going
of
to
them's
their
in a wheelchair.
Yeah, Richard's in a wheelchair. They're going to their childhood home.
I was always fuzzy on like in the synopsis. I didn't realize it was the grandfather's. I don't really know what they were. They were just going to.
But when he stops at the gas station, he's like, "Well, it's my dad's place."
I missed that.
And so, which seems really weird because that house is a pile of junk.
Yeah.
Along the way, it looks like no one's lived there in 100 years.
I agree.
But they pick up a hitchhiker along the
I
way.
don't know if they knew that or not.
And
it seemed like they did.
It seemed like they did. They pick up a hitchhiker along the way who turns out to be legitimately crazy, and then they stop for gas at a place that they shouldn't have stopped for gas. But there's a lot of alluding between the hitchhiker that puts like this blood mark on him and does like a hex in the van, and then the gas station's like, we don't have gas, and their father and son. But it doesn't seem like they were marked for death. Like they're
brothers.
Are they brothers? Okay. Yeah. It doesn't seem like when he did the hex in the van before he was kicked out and then like smeared his blood on the van.
I don't think he was expecting to see him again. I don't think that was a mark of death. I think that was just him being a creep.
Sure. Okay.
Cut himself, so then he was just being a freak.
It does seem weird to me that the 5 people didn't wash the blood off when they had a chance. It's one of those things. Like just maybe wash the blood off the van. There's no way that again, like that they're not that old. They're like 25, 30 years old.
Yeah.
There's no way they grew up in that place. That's. She's like, because even the sister in the front, she's like, yeah, I lived in this room till I was 8.
Okay.
It doesn't make sense. And then like the house that they say it was abandoned is the one with the brothers.
Yep.
And that's very much like there's a generator there. There's no way, and there's livestock. Like that's not an abandoned house.
Okay, all right.
And was this alluding to like the pigmen? Is this based on like a real family?
No.
Or is this like the Pickman family where they're just weird serial killers?
I don't know what the Pickman family is.
Like the pig man out of, I don't remember where they're out, but one of the most prolific serial killers was like
the Canadian one?
Yeah, mentally unstable guy.
Had all those parties and stuff?
Yep.
Yeah. He's probably inspired by this. No, I know Hooper was inspired by Ed Gein.
Okay.
I mean,
And that makes sense too. Yeah.
That's about it. It's not based on anything.
So basically the one of the guys and one of the girls go off to have sex, and then they hear something. So they go to inspect and figure like, well, I'll just I'll trade him my guitar and something for gasoline.
Yeah, they didn't have gas because the gas station they stopped at didn't have gas.
Yeah. And then they get there and the guy's
they
like,
had barbecue.
They did have barbecue, human barbecue, barbecue.
Barbecue.
So, because I guess it does officially open with a report of dead bodies being dug up from the cemetery.
Yeah.
Which
with a pretty grisly scene and like some.
Yeah. But that seems mostly ancillary to the story. Like I know that
it's just a set piece, just to set the tone.
Yep, that's true. So they go to this house to look for gasoline, and then the guy that's there starts snooping, and runs immediately into Leatherface.
Man, that scene where Leatherface opens this, for some reason
it's like a meat locker door.
Meat locker door. Just hits him with a hammer twice, drags him in, slams the door. Man, first time I saw that, I was probably like 12, 13.
Yeah.
God, that freaked the hell out of me.
I really appreciated that the music didn't change.
Yep,
it is an abrupt kill. And
Yep.
then they have like the dance of death where he's just
his
jittering on
feet
the
are
ground.
Yep.
And then he hits him again and again. And the whole kill scene probably took 5 seconds. But man, was it abrupt.
Yep.
Like that was a good kill.
For sure.
And then
It's got to be one of the best.
Yeah, I would agree.
Skills.
And then he goes in and drags him into the meat locker, closes the door. Time passes and the girl's like, well, what the hell? So she goes into the room.
Check it out.
Yeah, and starts like being very like there's no snooping in this. Like it's just like shouting around. Like you could have picked her out of a haystack. It was easy. And then so the Leatherface opens it up, grabs her, like she runs out of the house. Leatherface like busts out of the door and like brings her back in like a fish on a hook, just like jerks her back into the house. And then he puts her on an actual hook. Yeah, it's a very cool scene.
Yeah.
Just abrupt. But then they lost me for a second because he hangs her on this meat hook.
Mm-hmm.
It's very clear that she's wearing a backless shirt, but it's very clear to me that it's a harness. Like there's no, the hook doesn't come through at all.
I know.
Which would have been cool.
Well, the answer to that is he didn't want to get an NC-17, so he couldn't show the penetration of the hook. That one I did know.
Interesting. So they didn't. Okay. Because I guess I did notice
there was a few changes like that they had to change, and that was one of the things.
Okay. All right. So then
he actually wanted it to be PG-13. I don't know how the hell he was going to pull that off, but
they don't show a lot of gore.
Yeah, that's true. But what they do show is
especially there's no way.
It's not even super gory, but it's ultra violent.
It's ultra violent, and the beginning opening scene with the skulls is probably the most graphic. They could have cut that, and it probably would have been close.
Man, wouldn't be the same without that, though. I guess we wouldn't know the difference, obviously.
Yeah.
But still,
yeah. But that's probably the most grotesque. Everything else is just kind of bones.
Yeah.
But then he throws that girl into a meat freezer.
Mm-hmm.
And the part of that I don't like is because then another guy comes looking for them.
Yeah.
And he leaves the siblings, the guy in the wheelchair and the sister. He leaves them behind. Takes the car keys without thinking about it, and he goes looking for him. And he hears this banging on the fridge.
Yep.
And then he inspects it and finds the girl unconscious. Like that. How was she making noise in the fridge?
Huh, that's a good point. Yeah, I don't know.
Like that part doesn't make any sense. So he finds her, and then Leatherface bursts in and makes very quick work of him too.
Yep.
Like it is another abrupt kill. Like he's done.
Leatherface is brutal.
Yep. And again, like that was cool. Like it wasn't a cat and mouse. It was just like,
boom,
you're done.
Yep.
Bang, you're dead. Let's see where I'm at here. So the dead guy number 2, banging on the freezer. Look, that was So then the left without the car keys, the sister and brother, like they're going to go look. The Richard in the wheelchair is like, no, I'm going to stay. Like he starts freaking out in a way. Like they establish
Franklin.
it, I guess.
Did you call him Richard?
Isn't it Richard?
Franklin.
You're right. Sorry, Franklin. He once they get to the house, he starts kind of being
Very
a pain in
annoying.
the ass.
Yeah.
And just will not. It's unrelenting. It's obnoxious.
Yep.
And he starts following her in his wheelchair. And she slowly makes her way to this other house, and then Leatherface saws Franklin in half in the wheelchair, which is, I guess that's a fun kill there too.
And it's right in the belly, and you see Franklin from behind again, not graphic, just chainsaw to the belly, and then just so I don't forget, do you remember in Chainsaw 2 that he runs into Franklin down there?
Oh, I didn't realize that he was still alive.
He was their uncle. Is the story? I mean, it's pretty. They don't ever make it a huge plot point in 2, but he's their uncle.
Franklin's their uncle.
No, Dennis Hopper is their uncle.
Oh,
it's Franklin and whatever her name is.
Okay, wow.
That's when he really goes nuts down there in the tunnels. Is when he sees Franklin, then he starts cutting up all the support beams and stuff.
Okay, dang. I did not put that together.
Yeah.
So then it's just this girl on her own, and I think she stole the movie.
Yeah.
And she's
a great scream queen.
She is, yeah. So she goes, basically gets apprehended several times, like escapes, jumps through 2 windows.
Yep. Getting all banged up.
Yeah, runs for help.
Gets to that gas station.
To her credit, manages to keep her shirt on.
Yeah, no nudity in this one.
No nudity.
That's
runs
a $1
for help.
deduction for me.
Yeah, runs for help. Just kidding. And ends up running into the other brother at the gas station that doesn't have gas or phone.
They'd been at before, yeah.
Yep. So then he brings her back to the same house. They try to like have a dinner where she's just basically on display.
Well, I really like the scene. At first, he seems like he's fine. He's like, oh, yes, I'll help you. Let me be your friend. And then, how does he get that sack over her?
He doesn't ever put it over her.
He doesn't, okay.
No, he just pulls it out of the passenger seat when he backs the truck up. After she realizes, like, slowly turn the radio, comes back on, and she turns over to see the barbecue he's been making.
Yeah, right.
Which isn't anything specific. It's just like, she's starting to put the dots together.
Yeah. I really like the scene where they're driving in the truck. He's like, oh, we'll get you home. We'll get you. And then he keeps jabbing her with the broom handle.
Yep. He's always hitting people, that guy. He hits the brothers. He hits her.
You coon shit.
Yep. And he doesn't ever, he's not really the killer. He's just like.
He's the cook.
He's the cook. Yeah. And then the grandpa's still alive that she checked on earlier, but he sucks her finger like a teat.
I have blood on it.
Yep. But he still doesn't have enough strength to do the killing.
Right. One shot.
Yeah.
He's good. Your grandpa's good. They're going to kill her and eat her for supper.
I actually looked it up while I was watching it to see if they'd ever made a prequel, and they did recently in like 2007 or something.
Texas Chainsaw, I think that was
the beginning. Yeah. Because like.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah. He had like they gave him a cool backstory, but he's worthless at this point.
Yep. Well, I don't know about that. I mean, he's a public face.
Yeah. I mean, he's not in this. He's not anything.
Well, I mean, he's taking the meat from the brothers and he makes it into barbecue.
The grandpa does?
No, the cook, the guy.
Oh no, I'm saying like the grandpa, like.
Oh yeah, right.
Like the beginning for isn't he who they cover in the beginning?
Yeah.
Like the backstory for him is like he killed 65 people in 5 minutes once.
Cows.
Oh, was he talking about cows?
Yeah,
okay.
Because he worked in a slaughterhouse.
Okay, I just thought he was like they've been killing for years.
65 people. Be tough to cover that one up.
Yeah, but I mean, there aren't a lot of people left in that county.
It's true. Who's he selling that barbecue to?
That's how they survive.
Guess so.
But I liked when they get back, like, because he says, like, I told you not to leave your brother here alone, so I just assumed he was their dad.
The hitchhiker he runs in, so the hitchhiker was in.
Okay.
Ends up being another brother, so when the
Yeah.
cook is coming back with the girl that he captured and was hitting with a broom, it's the hitchhiker's returning, and
he's finally, like, he'd been saying the whole day, like, I'm really close, just take me to the house, and he's finally getting there at dark.
Well, who knows what kind of mischief he was getting.
That's true. But that's why I assumed that the cook was the dad, is because he says, your brother.
Yeah, it's nebulous, but the agreed upon thing is that they're brothers.
Okay.
Because he's just a much older brother.
All right. So then the first thing he sees is that in chasing the girl, Leatherface has cut through the door, and he says, "Look at what your brother did to the door. He's got no respect for his home."
He's right. He doesn't.
Yeah.
He'll cut anything.
I know it was 10 years later, but I do think that no one does chainsaw deaths better than Scarface. Like, it was 1984. That movie does a chainsaw death perfect. Because you just focused on the eyes of the person who's being cut up. You're not actually seeing the trauma, but their reaction sold it. And I really like that chainsaw death is the best. But this one, like for the 70s, like, I'm sure the set was not safe to be on. Like, it couldn't have been. And they still, like, no one that I know of was murdered in the making of this film.
No, they weren't. Gunnar Hansen, who plays Leatherface, he'd never used a chainsaw before. And they were all, like, stoned most of the time. I know that. So, no, probably not the safest.
The big fella can move. Like, I did make a note of that. Like, he can run with a chainsaw. Like, he's a nimble little
Plus $1 for running with a chainsaw?
Plus $1 for running with a chainsaw.
Right.
Yep. No gratuitous nudity. Abrupt kills. Didn't pretend to be more than it was. Like, I really appreciated that. Like, it was an 85-minute film. It was simple, like car, like cross-country trip. Where they were going didn't make sense, but pick up a hitchhiker. Hitchhiker is trying to get him to go somewhere. They end up going there anyway. Disaster. And then the end, like with the rescue, gets a little like losing it for me. Like the truck driver just ends up. Like, they don't really cover what happens.
He just ran off.
Yeah.
Well, I told you when we did Texas Chainsaw 2 that they just have those weird endings with spinning with a chainsaw somehow, and just like the ending's always really strange.
Yeah. But I thought it was good. So, anything that you haven't covered?
Jim Sydow is the guy that plays the cook, or the older brother. They had to have one person with a SAG card, and he was it.
And who did he play?
The cook.
Oh, okay. So they had to have a union player.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure for what, but they needed one person for the union for, I don't know who, maybe the distribution or something was like, oh, that's the only way we'll do it, or what.
All right. Yeah. Anything else?
Trying to think. Check my notes here.
Does the girl that lives, does she come back to any of the other ones?
No, she doesn't. Oh, yeah, just superior, just awesome art department. Just the man that, again, holy cow.
Yeah, the masks were really good. The dead faces were great. Bones everywhere.
Bone everywhere.
Yep. Man, that would have been. The bones may have been real to some extent. I don't think the skulls were, but
I think
I'm sure
they're using animal bones.
Yeah.
Some trivia for you. It had 868 edits.
Wow. That is a lot. I can appreciate that. The movie that I just made had 1,000.
Oh, wow.
But I wasn't working with film.
Right.
And I can't imagine that many. Like the cutting room floor must have looked like a bedroom in that house. So
he edited for 8 months, did it himself.
That sounds awful.
I'm sure it was.
Yeah, but good for him.
And it was also the most successful film in Texas history.
That's interesting. Like the state of Texas.
Yeah,
not just like Texas chainsaw history.
Right.
Huh. All right.
I'm not 100% sure that's true, but that is what I read.
Yeah, there must be like a specific category that fits into.
I would imagine so,
yeah.
But maybe not. I don't know, man. Like over time, it's got 40 years on a lot of things. So if they accumulatively.
But I wonder if they're saying like ticket sales or financially, like in that.
Financial. That's how it was worded. Financially.
Made more money than Titanic.
Well, that's not considered a Texas film.
Okay. So it's not just like sales in Texas. It's a movie to come out of Texas.
Correct, yeah.
All right. Okay.
Oh, and our Scream Queen was in Brewster McCloud, unfortunately.
I did notice that. Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah.
Because that was also a Texas film. This did better than that, apparently. So she was just a Texas
You mean
gal.
to tell me that this film did better than Brewster?
Yeah, I know it's hard to believe, but yeah,
wow.
it sure did.
I think a pile of turds did better than Brewster.
I sure hope so.
Yeah. It's funny that when we covered that, the Astros won the World Series. And now we're talking about it again. The Astros are in the World Series.
Yeah.
It's weird how that happens. All right.
Are we like some sort of baseball prediction
I think we are.
guys?
Baseball oracles. Boracles.
Two boys, of course.
Yep. You want me to rate it?
Yeah, go for it.
$2. Out of $2.99, I give this $2.
Sex or the Saw. It's all the sex.
Just a porno set?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
That's
yeah,
good.
I'm giving it 67%. You think I should give it higher?
Yes.
Franklin was a detraction for me. Like
sure.
that character's
Everybody,
acting was...
he was apparently... I don't think he needed it. He wasn't actually handicapped.
All of his scenes could have been cut.
Yeah, I won't disagree with that, but apparently he was so into character that everyone hated him on set.
Yeah, I believe that because his character was terrible.
Still, it doesn't detract from the movie enough to make it 68%.
I mean, he's not the only... I just like... I feel like that's
Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you're giving it 68%.
Yeah. Man. That is 40% higher than the last two
That
films.
doesn't matter. It's still 68%. It's a freaking awesome movie.
It's a good movie. It's a good movie.
It's better than 68% movie.
It's a good movie.
Good movie. That's a D.
Yeah?
That's not good. It's below average, buddy.
Yeah. But it's way above average for a lot of the Halloween films you have me watch. So
you
the
made
thing,
me watch one. Buddy.
That's true. But I did like Halloween. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. I did rate very high. I think I rated that at 250. So like this, I liked 2 way better than I liked 1.
No, me too.
And
you know my theory.
Yeah,
2s are better.
So this one, it's good. But it's certainly like it's kind of like Children of the Corn. Like you can tell it's an old movie. It's just a good movie. I don't think
you rated Breakfast at Tiffany's positively for its effect and for its acting.
Mm-hmm.
Which is complete bullshit. But then this one, it doesn't get any points for.
I liked the lead
being
actress.
One of the most influential horror movies of all time. No extra points there.
I think that I would rate it higher if the influence stuck to a lot of horror films. Like you can see pieces of it.
Fault.
It's not his fault. I think he knocked this movie out of the park.
It's a grand slam.
The
just
acting,
like an Astro guy.
I'm not blown away by really any of the characters. What?
So what?
I'm just saying, I can't give any of the characters. I guess the lead actress I liked, but she's not like
Hitchhiker. He played a great person. I think the other 2 dudes, they were just there for
the
slaughter.
Meat.
But
yeah, they were there for the meat.
But
I also liked that the girl lived at the end.
Yeah,
I thought that was good. I'm going to give it a 70%. I'll give it a 70%.
Yeah. All right.
There you go.
C.
Yeah.
Average.
I'll give it a 70%.
Low average. Hey, but with mine, I'm going with a 95. I probably don't actually feel that way. 90.
Gets an 80. There you go.
Pretty
There's
good.
your average.
There we go. We got a good one.
All right. Next up, according to my score, is. Do you want to guess?
I'm guessing the Mangler.
Mangler is up next.
No surprise there.
There's a little bit of me in that machine, and a little bit of it in me.
There was an accident today. The worst one I've ever seen.
Have you considered the possibility that the machine might be haunted?
That machine killed your daughter.
We all have to make sacrifices. Human sacrifices. A demon is a kind of electricity. Sometimes it gets out of control. People get hurt.
3 modern masters of horror have just created the ultimate machine for terror. The Mangler.
The Mangler. A laundry folding machine has been possessed by a demon, causing it to develop homicidal tendencies.
I got to say, I did not read the synopsis before I started watching the film.
Oh, no. I'd never seen the trailer. I guess I just still didn't
I hadn't seen the trailer.
But I heard about that. Like that. There's a little piece of it in me. Whatever. That's cool. Starring. Well, he's not really starring, but it's got Robert Englund. I didn't know he was in there. That's Freddy Krueger.
Yeah. I didn't know that either till you brought it up, and I was like, that is him. Yeah. Stephen King's short story.
Oh, I didn't realize that either.
Yep.
Huh.
I don't know how short.
Man. He's done some pretty short ones, but it doesn't really matter. That kid's got a prolific movie.
I mean, I think just because he writes it, people are like, oh, it's going to make a great film. Most of them don't.
No. Well, wonder if they could if other people did some of them, but it's neither here nor there.
All right. The Mangler opens in an all-female sweatshop, Blue Ribbon Laundry.
Mm-hmm.
The only guys are the owner, the foreman, and a steam technician, and then 2 tub movers.
Yep.
And then the tub falls on this woman, Sherry, and nearly feeds her to the
Mangler.
The Mangler, and they spend the whole movie kind of saying like, well, that broke that tub, that broke the safety latch. Then you find out later that has nothing to do with the story at all.
Well, I mean, we didn't know it was a possessed machine
until later. Yeah, so you're kind of detecting along with the detective. I didn't like the "labor makes you free" sign.
Well, no, they need to get a union up in that shop. That's for damn.
Well, they certainly need a union, but that's the sign that was at Auschwitz.
Oh shit! Okay.
Didn't really care for that.
Sure.
And they put it there, and like that's part of the trivia is like that's the sign that was at Auschwitz, and I was like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
I mean, I get like they're
choice.
like doing like human science sacrifice stuff, but this doesn't need to be used that way.
I agree with that.
I did like they had the 80s quips, 70s and 80s like quip lines in this, so it's like don't let the pressure get to you.
95.
95. Okay, so like the 90s quips, like don't let the pressure get to you. The shop itself did remind me a lot of Superman Returns.
Yeah, I noticed. Yeah.
Like in the prison.
Wrote that down somewhere.
Work them like there's no tomorrow, and for many of them there wasn't a tomorrow. Time's a wasting, tick tock, tick tock, tick. That's what Freddy Krueger says.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
So, I guess am I to understand that he's gaining some sort of immortality by the sacrifices?
Yeah. So for everybody, this guy's family, I didn't get the impression it was him. I think he just gets wealth. They sacrifice people to the machine that is possessed, and then they get wealth, is my understanding.
But they're sacrificing family members to the machine, like all.
Yeah, right. It has to be someone with blood. Yeah, so I think that's
16-year-old virgins specifically.
So it has to be someone from the family, and then it'll give you your wealth. I don't think it gives you any immortality, unless it was him the whole time. But I didn't necessarily get that impression myself.
He says later, like to Sherry, who's his niece, it's got to be you or me, and I choose me.
Yeah. Well, it just means he doesn't want to get eaten by a goddamn.
I guess that's true.
Laundry machine.
Folded up into a box of bones and blood.
Cool
really
kill scenes. Kill scenes.
There are cool kill scenes. Like the machine itself is cool.
Yeah.
It's a creature feature with a steamroller.
Yeah.
I really liked the Picture Man who's rotting from the inside out.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, JJJ Picture Man. Hey, Picture Man. Make sure I get some copies of that.
Yep.
Miss Frawley, the dead woman, died. That's the first kill of it. There's an accident, but then like Sherry lives, but then
her ring fell in there.
Yeah, Miss Frawley, the first dead woman, dies because after she's taking things like anxiety pills, antacid pills, and she runs out, and she spills 4 of them on the machine.
Mm-hmm. Oh, is that what she was getting?
And she's reaching for them.
It wasn't her ring.
But she has a full one in her purse, and she'd also been giving them to everybody in there who would have been like, "Yeah, we don't want these. They're crazy."
That's so what? They got to get the first kill somehow.
I mean, yeah, you do. It's just like any number of things could have happened.
Sure.
Like it could have made sense.
With
for
the
instance, for instance, the kill could have made it make a little bit more sense. So it's a forced pivotal death, I guess, is the problem I have. All factory accidents should be dealt with in the same fashion as Who Framed Roger Rabbit. I have that note.
I've never seen Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Oh, we're going to fix that. Where you just dip them in ooze. What do you call it? Like, they say like grease them or something like that.
I don't know.
Fine. We'll talk about it on another
Is that
podcast.
what happens to a shoe? I know the shoe gets.
Yeah.
Poor shoe.
There's some weird stuff going on with the owner of the shop. So I don't want anything to do with freshening up for Uncle Billy. I have as a note. He's basically sleeping with his other niece.
Yeah. It's weird.
Yeah.
He's just a creep. He plays a good creep.
I liked the line, "Hey, Pascal, how you liking public service?" That's the Buffalo Bill says that to the janitor when he walks into the morgue. That's all. I mean, it's weird that they have a sheet business when all these dead bodies are ruining all those sheets. Like,
no, they just clean them again.
There's no bleach.
Where was OSHA?
Yeah, it's a good question.
They did have some investigators come in, and they were just like, "Oh, looks like it's fine now. Go right ahead."
The picture man had a good line. It says, "Just when you think you've seen it all, life bites you in the ass."
That's right. I'm pretty sure it was Buffalo Bill said, "Bullshit, reality."
Yep,
sums it up.
It does sum it up. So, like, as the movie progresses, you realize that it's a cursed machine. All of the town leadership is basically sacrificing their young daughters to this machine in exchange for longer life and wealth.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, that like they allude to, like, you don't, the niece who was sleeping with the uncle, it says something like, you don't see any old people in this town or something like that.
That's right.
And I didn't really understand that, because you do see some people, but they make it like the set was very small.
Right.
It turns out, I guess I don't understand if the machine itself was cursed, or if, like, the possessed refrigerator is what caused a lot of these problems, and they don't really.
That's a good point.
Make sense of that to me.
No, I didn't get. It's a good point.
Yeah, they just basically had a ghost in the machine.
Yeah.
That they exercise.
Needed blood.
Yeah. So that I didn't understand that connection. Sherry is supposed to be a 16-year-old virgin, but she's also living alone in a mansion at the cemetery.
Yep. Completely normal.
Yeah, everything's going to be fine for her.
Yeah, she'll be okay. And she was.
I feel like they should have just ended this movie by saying, "That's Chinatown."
They didn't, though.
They didn't. No, they didn't.
Nobody asked you.
No, and they continue to avoid that. So that you have Buffalo Bill playing a detective that's lost his wife, gets his brother-in-law to help him out, and his brother-in-law is like, it's possessed. And he's like, "No, I'm rotting in this town. I got to get out of here." He's like, "It's possessed." So then they go and they find out, like, the refrigerator that nearly killed Sherry earlier is in fact possessed. And he tries to fix that by beating it with a wrench until the ghost leaves. And then they go back to the other haunted factory machinery and feed the niece who's had the Kool-Aid and sleeping with the uncle. They feed her to the machine in a fight. And then the bad uncle gets, like, Freddy Krueger gets fed to the machine.
He didn't really get fed to it. He fell in the end and he got folded.
He got, jigs up. And he got folded. And
it was cool. That was a good death.
It was a good death. It was a good death. And he was just, like, saying some, like, satanic thing. And then Sherry manages to lose her finger into the machine, and she becomes next man up, boss in charge, running the sweatshop.
Took it over. Just pretty much became him.
Yeah, the next day. And the doctor that you meet once before, turns out there's they mentioned some phrase that they have in the community, like, don't trust anybody that's missing limbs.
Yeah, right.
Turns out the doctor's missing a limb, and all the wealthy people in town are missing limbs and children
because they fed it to the machines.
They fed it to the machines. Yep.
Sherry. We all have to make sacrifices.
Yep.
Yeah. It's not a super good movie. I didn't think it was terrible. I think this is one of them I hadn't seen. I did choose it because I don't know. I remember seeing the cover at the local movie store when I was a kid, and I just never saw it. So I thought I liked the synopsis, so I thought I would give it a try.
It did have a cool cover.
It did.
Yeah.
I would say Toby really does have a way with the camera. He's got a certain style, just kind of like the looming, sort of floaty around tracking. I like that, and then like the brother-in-law's house where they're hanging out most of the time. Man, that is another great.
Yeah, I mean,
that is incredibly. Like I can't imagine the amount of time it took to.
Yeah,
put
it's
these
got a
sets
very
up.
like Louisiana voodoo kind of feeling.
And factory, I mean, Jesus.
Yeah,
Place
yeah.
looked
I mean,
great,
that was
looked
full of
great.
steam. It did look
Yeah.
really cool. The machine itself was really cool.
Yeah.
It was they did a lot of work with shadows later in the film and the chase. I agree. And then the both the mortuary, the camera picture guys, little office, and the cemetery mansion itself, like all of that, they did their due diligence on that. It looked good.
It's just too bad the story wasn't so good, and I think honestly they just need more of the Mangler. Like they could have cut some of the the mystery out of this, and they could just stick to the kills. That's what you're doing well.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, this could have been a one-room movie.
Yeah,
like all
Yeah,
taking
could've.
place over the course of a day in the sweatshop, and
Right.
they could have taken out all the weird stuff.
Yep.
And just made it a story of survival, and it would have been
Sure. Well, they could have kept
at
some of
least
the
as good.
supernatural stuff, but still
Yeah.
they could have cut out.
Yeah, and I guess I have not read the short. I shouldn't have to understand the story.
No. Well, I think you understand it well enough.
Yeah, and there's just a lot of unanswered and unnecessary things in it for me.
Sure.
But I agree. Like the set design was great. The potential was there.
Yeah.
It comes off more as an indie than
Sure.
than anything else. Like an indie
Yeah, I don't
that's
know if I agree.
underfunded and
I don't
understaffed.
necessarily agree with that, but I think the acting was fine. I think Freddy, I mean, he doesn't have much range, but that's a pretty good crazy guy he plays.
We do see the brother-in-law and Freddy again.
Yeah.
I think it goes into my very common, like I'm sure it gets old complaint is like if the story is not there, like don't make it. Like, and the story was not there on this.
There was a story written.
Somebody got paid to write this. Like
It's probably Steve.
somebody got paid.
It's probably Steven.
Oh, maybe it was. Maybe he did.
I've got written down good vomit color. It was.
Yeah, it was a good vomit color. I don't understand like the woman playing Sherry was not 16.
Not even close to
No.
anything like it.
So there were a lot of liberties that they took that I think it could have been easy fixes.
Yeah. I guess going back to Toby as a director, I don't know if he had anything to do with the camera, how that all necessarily works, their interaction with the cinematographer, but I could definitely catch, especially the fridge icebox part. There was very poltergeisty. I know you've never seen it, but he uses that same effect where it's like the spirits coming out of it as exploding, which is cool. I mean, it's kind of hokey, but I think that adds to it for the time anyways.
I was going to ask about that scene. Do you think that, I mean, it is very relevant to the time. Like late 80s, early 90s, that's how they did effects.
Yep.
But do you think that scene specifically was a reference to Poltergeist because he had directed that? Because it did seem out of place.
Was this post Poltergeist?
Let me look. I just assumed it was.
Let's get the engineer on it. Engineer, take us away. I'll go on. Also, I could.
Was this post Poltergeist?
Or which one came first? Yeah.
Poltergeist was 82.
Yeah, this was post Poltergeist. So do you think he was?
Jesus, I didn't realize.
Do you think he was like alluding to his own movie? Because that whole scene didn't make sense.
Well, let me tell.
Except it ate a little boy.
Since we're talking about Poltergeist real quick, I'll get into what happened, why people think that Steven Spielberg directed Poltergeist. So Toby directed it, and he was pretty good friends at the time with Steven Spielberg, who was producing it. And Steven was on set one day, and just so happened to be the day that some press was on set. And they saw him, so they just assumed, and they took pictures, and they put all this media and what have you, and Toby got upset about that, but Steven wanted him not to, have it retracted or not. I think due to funding or something. He was afraid people would, or something. He thought something bad would happen, so he urged Toby not to make a big stink out of it. So he didn't, and then because of that, everybody thinks that Steven Spielberg directed it when he didn't. And later he did give him full credit, but by that point it didn't matter anymore.
I mean, I think that they both stood to lose and gain if he had done a retraction, because then Steven has always had a bigger name, so more people were going to see it. And if you took your name off of it, you just assume, like, a perceived name off of it, you'd assume that there are set problems.
He wouldn't take his name off of it. He would just,
but put it where it rightfully is. I understand that. But, like, a lot of times, not just in films, but in life, you just have to let rumors go.
Yeah.
And
I'm not trying to, like,
yeah, so I understand why he'd be frustrated.
It is
shitty. But I don't think that, like, this was never going to be a bigger film than Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
This one here, no.
So like it's weird that you get frustrated over credit of something that isn't going to be, like, it would be like if he was directing E.T.
Sure.
And then
but
a big
Poltergeist
or Jaws.
was pretty good though. People wouldn't.
Oh, I see. I mistook. I thought you was talking about the Mangler.
No.
But I can see.
That was all about Poltergeist.
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
so
it would be frustrating. But
I don't know if it was a hit or not, but I mean, it did well enough.
It did. It did a lot of influence.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can see that. But I mean, he still got paid. He still got other work. Yeah.
Just not mainstream, but
yeah.
Judging by some of these movies, maybe that was.
It's probably for the best. Yeah.
Maybe.
I don't know. I mean, I would feel like I haven't seen Poltergeist, but I have to imagine it's better than this one.
Oh, it is for sure.
I haven't seen it. I've seen the remake of Poltergeist. I haven't seen the original. Sorry, I'm getting some flack here.
PTSD is shocked. I told him he couldn't. When I told him he could pick a Tobe Hooper, I told him he couldn't pick that because I wanted to see something I hadn't seen.
Yeah.
But then I did give him the option. I said, okay, you haven't seen it, so go ahead and choose it. And he still said, all right, we'll choose one you haven't seen.
Yeah. I mean, I think that I would have to say, was Texas Chainsaw Massacre his first film?
I don't know if it's his first one, but it's real early on. Yeah. I know that Funhouse one that we almost did was in the 70s at some point too.
Okay. So I would have to say, like, he started off strong.
Real strong.
And then he Poltergeist, I mean, just based on the influence it's had, I'd have to say is another decent, strong, maybe not great film, but decently compared to his other work.
Good.
And then it gets progressively worse as he goes. But that's also probably, I mean, maybe there are more hands in the pot. Yeah. You know, that's hard. It's hard to deal with.
Because he couldn't really get a name for himself established, he might have, just been stuck with these shitty scripts.
He could have been. But I mean, as a director, you can make changes.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, he still had I don't know if he had Final Cut on all of them, but he had Final Cut on some of them.
Sure.
So he could have adjusted if he wanted to.
Fair point.
I think his focus was probably more on the visual than the story itself.
For sure.
And it is hard in the middle of it to keep straight of the story when you're telling it out of order and backwards and
it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, what do you?
You got a message.
Pointing at me.
I told you something.
Oh, Texas Chainsaw was a second feature.
Second.
We had someone shouting from our live audience. Texas
Thank
Chainsaw
you,
was
listener.
the second feature.
Huh.
Thank you to the listener. Yeah. So I think we're. I mean, you've heard what I have to say about it, I guess.
Yeah. I think this movie is more good than it is bad, but it's not great. It's worth a watch. If I saw it for cheap, I'd probably buy it and watch it every now and again. It wouldn't make my Halloween rotation every year. There's quite a few that at some point in the month of October I get to every year, but this one would be every other year or something. Just like, I just missed the mark, I guess.
Yeah, I feel the same. I don't know that I'll see it again.
Sure.
But it's not a terrible movie.
No.
I give it a $1.50 out of $2.99.
Man, that's crazy. Sex or the Saw, I'm giving it. It's a tough one. Sex, something. Maybe just a little kiss.
So we're close on
the forehead
that.
or
you make it sound like I'm way off your mark.
No, well, it's just compared to It Follows and The Witch. I think you think this is better than It Follows and The Witch, which I think is nuts.
Well, I mean, it wouldn't be if there's no
right. No, yeah.
I'd say this is in the same ballpark, except for the objectification of the minors.
What'd you give this one again? Sorry, $1.75.
$1.50.
$1.50.
The other ones both would have been $1.75 without that.
Gotcha. Okay, so it's all right. If you see it on TV, you won't, but if you do, give it a try.
It is memorable in that, like, I have never seen an appliance eating.
Yeah. Again, like, I think they just needed to stick to the kills a little more. Like,
I agree. There are very few
4 or
kills.
5, maybe.
Yeah. I mean,
it's
very comparable to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre in kills, but I think Texas Chainsaw Massacre, certainly as it developed, there were many more deaths.
Right. And the in-between wasn't quite so boring and, like, uninteresting. And not to say, like, I mean, they do a lot of Freddy, whatever, the laundry manager as Robert Englund, like, some kind of fun development with him and just playing around with his character, which is cool, and his office looks great. I mean,
yeah.
Not that saves anything, just...
Yeah. I feel like they felt like they had something that they didn't when they were making it. And
they gave it
adjustments, it would have been a little bit better.
Yeah.
But
what are you going to do?
Yeah. So there's only one left now.
One left, the one you chose.
I blame myself. You gave me options.
Well, I said really anything. I gave you 2 caveats. Not Poltergeist, which I also said you could do it later.
Yeah.
You declined, which is... I appreciate that you did, but...
Yeah. I mean, I chose from 3, but one of those was an anthology.
Yeah, Body Bags.
Yep. So this was between... it really was a 50-50 chance. And I chose this without reading a synopsis or watching the trailer because
cool
I thought
cover
the
art.
cover looked cool.
Yeah, it does.
I was wrong.
There are thorns everywhere, but along the path of vice, roses bloom above.
Smell the roses, Eugenie. Do you know the difference between dreams and reality? Do you know the difference between good and evil? Do you know the difference between courage and fear? Now, we dare you to find out.
I will render you as criminal as I.
From the director of Poltergeist and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Toby Hooper's Night Terrors, starring Robert Englund as the Marquis de Sade.
Please don't hurt me. Please.
Do you know the difference between a good movie and a bad movie?
Toby doesn't.
A woman visiting her father in Egypt becomes involved with the Marquis de Sade, is he Sade's descendant, and his terrifying cult.
Basically the birth of sadism.
That's where the term comes from.
Sadism.
My first note, I just want to start this off. I rented it. It is only available, at least through Fire Stick, in standard definition. I just thought that was funny.
I own this on YouTube now, so this is I've had a film released where they made a different cover completely unrelated to the movie before, and I feel like that's what we're at here. We've talked about that with Loose Cannons before.
Yep. Look at this cover. It looks super cool. I don't know
it does look super cool. This is a really fuck it Jesus kind of movie. Looking it up as I was watching it, I realized this is an erotic horror tale, and
say that.
It's just a full-on don't. I don't have a lot of notes on this. I'll make it quick, as Toby should have. This is a whole movie based on and then this happens kind of thing. Like, it's a bunch of snakes and boobs. Like, there's a naked dude on a horse that they keep flashing to. A woman keeps literally... a woman, a belly dancer, literally keeps trying to swallow a snake, and they keep just randomly flashing it to.
She keeps putting it in her mouth, which I think is supposed to be sexual.
Yeah, it's like a reverse sex thing. I don't know.
Quite understand.
The whole movie was forced. Was Toby, I have this as a note, was Toby 14 when he made this movie?
I'm sure he was not.
Okay, well then I don't have a lot of reasons for the rest of it. It was like, this would, even on paper, this would be a failed romance novella. Sure. The backstory that they kept flashing to was half the movie.
It's probably the best part, really.
Yeah, and again, like, you have the brother-in-law from the Mangler who comes in at the end to, like, give him last rites.
So it's a weird. It starts off. Whatever the century would have been with the Marquis de Sade was alive, but he was in prison being tortured, which he kind of liked, but for whatever reason, I don't know much about the Marquis de Sade, but I assume that's sort of based on what actually happened to him, but they had him in prison for a long, long time, and it keeps flashing back to him, and just him being terrible. Makes
like he was
makes
kind
the
of
one guy go crazy or kill himself.
He tears his eyes out.
Yeah.
Look
at me.
Yeah, because he like burned his retina out.
Look at me.
Yeah.
Look at me. That was kind of cool.
It was again, like all the characters, and then the
crazy.
backstory itself was like it was unrelated.
I don't really. Well,
I mean,
was.
everybody ends up in the same room at the end, I guess, but it reminded me a lot of Suspiria in like the disjointed nature of the movie. I don't know. Like basically they wanted to make a movie about sex that they thought would have the same plot as a porn.
Well, I don't think it's quite that bad, but the sex scenes were awkward, not believable, unnecessary. It's really, I literally have that written down.
We have a note from the audience again.
What? This is my note. Yeah, what
the two writers of this, it was their first writing credit ever, and for one of them, it is their only writing credit.
You like that kind of
It's a good trivia right there. That's real good, and it should be their only writing credit.
What'd the other one do?
I don't know. We'll have to wait for the other audience
yes,
members.
We'll see.
I'm pretty sure that the sacred symbol is just a canned tuna fish commercial.
Sure, yeah, I can see that.
Like, they're like, oh, we'll protect you, and then everybody gets their eyes ripped out. The one girl, the girl that lives at the end, Zoe Triller. I really like her character.
Yeah.
Like she actually had a good presence in the film. Like she was too good for this movie.
Yeah.
She also did. She did Night of the Demons 2. She doesn't. She did 26 credits, but after that, now she works for like a water treatment facility in L.A.
That's too bad.
Yeah, because she was the best part of this movie.
Yeah.
Everything else about it was just, what the hell?
I unfortunately have to agree.
One of my notes here, and it goes along with our audience comment. Someone was paid to write this movie, minus $150.
Okay, I'm not even going to defend this one at all. So, fair enough.
The audience member did come back with he also wrote Homeboys 2 Crack City.
2 credits.
Yep.
Man, that guy's on a roll.
Really nailed it.
I can't wait for Homeboys.
Oh my god.
3. Meth Town.
Running.
Whatever.
They kept showing Running.
Yeah.
Not good.
That strange full frontal.
Yeah. I mean, they
the
really...
dream sequences were just...
The naked guy on a horse was just forced. And then all of the other nudity in it could have been... It was irrelevant.
It was. At least it seems that way. I mean, maybe we're missing something, but I don't think we are.
I don't believe that we are.
People, we're not really talking about the plot much. There's really not much to it. The dreams...
Yeah.
She's slowly... What is happening to her?
She's basically like going through a weird sexual awakening in like a very dominatrix kind of way.
I don't know, maybe she's going crazy, or maybe she's actually traveling in time or something.
But then they try to
like
sacrifice
it might be real.
her.
Yeah,
I mean, some of
know.
the stuff on the horses where they're riding and then the camera moves over and they're there. It seems to indicate that time has passed, but also it looked like one shot.
Right.
I don't know. There's a lot I don't know.
It's a real shoot and a miss.
Yeah. I mean, I did like Zoe as an actress, despite the lack of direction and the poor writing in this. I felt like she deserved better than this movie. The nudity that she had in it was unnecessary. Like, she didn't have to do that.
I didn't think there was going to be any, and then...
Yeah.
There was.
I was really hoping that they didn't use her that way, because it was wasteful.
Yeah.
And even when they, like...
This guy hates boobies.
Well, like, even when they're running, she's running through the streets of Cairo or wherever they are, like, the groping for her was unnecessary.
Yeah.
Like, it just seemed like it was gratuitous.
I agree. It was.
And, like, just from, like, a human standpoint, to put her through that wasn't great.
Yeah.
Like, you're just asking a
right.
lot from somebody. Yeah, you have my note. I am ready to rate it when you are done with your stuff.
Yeah. The one quote I liked was my clamp, where's my clamp?
Yeah. When he, like, at the end, like, they spent a lot of time developing her character into someone that they can kind of, like, bring into their world.
Yeah.
and then they were going to sacrifice her.
If anybody cares, the Marquis de Sade's descendant had a cult, and go watch it and tell us what you think.
I mean, the friend that she happened to have around that she didn't spend any time with was like, "Hey, this is a cult. Be careful." And then she goes and loses her head.
Right. Man. Weird.
Yeah. The whole thing is weird. Like she kind of shirks. And then her dad is even more strange, looking for this
archaeologist.
Yeah, the archaeologist, but he's got some weird thing with this whole like we're supposed to take something away from the scales, and at the end there's a reveal that you're like, what?
Yeah, that really sums it up.
I didn't get it.
All right, well, we might as well just rate it. It was shit.
14 cents.
14 cents. Extra the Saw. It's the Saw full.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Flensing, yeah. It's a
through the wheelchair.
It's a wheelchair.
It's a chainsaw flensing.
Yeah.
Oh damn. You know how much that would hurt?
It's bad.
That's real bad. I mean, I guess I meant to ask you, do you think 14 cents is right around the range from Brewster?
I'd say, yeah.
Do you think that this is better or worse than Brewster?
Oh, man.
I wasn't actively shouting through this episode.
Yeah.
But
boy. It's tough to be objective.
Yeah.
That one's been so long, so it seems like maybe it's better, but then at the same time, that one was just... I can appreciate aspects of this one a little more. Like there's little bits and pieces, like the dungeon. I like that. I like Robert Englund's performances.
Yeah.
At least in the past. So I think there's more. I can't remember anything about Brewster that I liked. I absolutely hated everything about it.
I think we had some high
expectations
for that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would personally say that this is slightly better than Brewster, but
I liked the world that the Mangler created. Like there was time put into that. This one, they didn't put time in. They just had people take their clothes off.
Yeah. How did this get made, huh?
How did it get made? Like, again, they paid these two writers who had no credit.
Well, how does that work? Do you think Toby paid them, or do you think...
I think they probably wrote it on spec and found Toby.
Well,
But they still got paid.
So obviously this is getting like 1%, 2%, something bad. Don't see this one. I just wonder, getting back to like the Poltergeist argument, is maybe if he had gotten more mainstream things, he would have gotten better scripts and maybe not be directing this sort of a thing. I mean, maybe at some point he's just like, well, it's a directing gig, I'll take it, you know? I don't know.
It may have turned into that, but I think there's a lot of, even like some top tier horror directors, like end up doing a lot of movies that aren't good.
Yeah.
Comparatively. Like if you get, he got two iconic films.
Yeah.
And whether even when those came to him, they might not. I don't know what the expectation was for Poltergeist. Probably higher because Spielberg was producing it.
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't have a lot of expectation on Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and he was still able to craft something out of it. This one, like it certainly wasn't there on paper, but the directing that he presented the capability of in his previous projects, he just went straight to like, let's do nudity.
Yeah. Well, again, not trying to defend the movie, but just, I am glad we watched these, especially the Mangler.
Yeah, the Mangler was like it was a fun, different thing. Like not a great movie, but it was fun.
This was interesting just to see.
A Cannon film. God, was it really? Original director quit, hired on Toby in order to keep England.
Huh.
Wow.
Shit. See, it's that kind of thing that's like what Joe Bob made it sound like, is like he kind of always got stuck with these. I don't know how much it is true, but I mean, that seems to. The reason he's associated with this garbage is just because Robert Englund would have ducked out, you know?
And I guess Robert Englund's famous for one thing.
Right.
And I don't know that, like, let him leave. I guess. It's not
whatever
like,
draw they would have had, that would have been.
Yeah, and
lost.
I get like I've been a part of projects where you have these obscure characters that have a weird cult following, and it's not necessary, like in the long run.
Right.
But I get
nonetheless, studios are.
Yeah, the studio, like it's a banking thing at the end of the day. You're not trying to be creative. You're trying to make money. But in order to have a directing credit, if the other one quit, you have to direct. Like we talked about it when we did Superman 2. You have to direct 51%.
Yep.
So I wonder how much of it he did, but it does look all the same.
Yeah, right. So he didn't really.
So maybe he didn't do all of the nude scenes, but there's enough of them in there where he did some of them.
Could be. I don't know.
And it's just all weird, really like tantric forced like flashback stuff.
Yeah.
And it's Egypt. Like they really forced the artifact to be relevant, and at the end it wasn't relevant. So 14 cents.
Yeah.
I think I'm the high one on that.
You might be. I don't know. What a flensing.
Can you think of a worse death than being chainsaw flensed?
I think an acid death would be pretty bad.
We got to watch Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Can't wait for that. I like how our producer was offended that I hadn't seen Poltergeist, but you not having seen Who Framed Roger Rabbit, just like, that's fine.
Well. Oh, no, he's mad at me. He's mad about that, too. All right, we're back in charge. Get out of here, PTSD. Just kidding. Thank you so much for the help.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Overall, what do you think about Toby? Do you appreciate him?
I really appreciate what he brought to Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I think I'm going to withhold judgment until I have seen Poltergeist. Like, if you can connect that on a regular one.
There's a tree in that movie, so, I mean, that's, for you, that's Christmas, you know?
Sure, yeah, that's true. I mean, it actually might be a Christmas film, now that I think about it, because I think the second one, or the remake, was Christmassy.
Was it? Yeah.
I don't remember for sure. It's been a while. But, yeah, the options that you gave me other than Poltergeist, none of them really look great.
I didn't really give you options. I said whatever you like, except for I didn't want Life Force.
Or Body Bags, right? Because that was an
Body
anthology.
Bags was an anthology. So
yeah,
I mean,
and then there was another one that another anthology that I looked up. It was,
yeah, he doesn't have a huge
filmography,
but
yeah.
Well, yeah, I think it did make me appreciate him more. I don't know that I want to see any more of his films. I guess I do, but not like really, really want to see him. But I don't know. Like
I might not.
When he's good, he's damn good.
Yeah,
and when he's bad, he's pretty
it's
bad. But when he's mediocre, that's still pretty.
I don't know that I would actively avoid a film that he's made, but I would not act like if I guess I would look for one.
Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily ever want to put myself in a position to watch multiple of his in a short period of time again. I watched 3 of his in a row.
Yeah.
And I would not recommend that. And
it wasn't too bad.
It benefited him and the review for Texas Chainsaw Massacre that I watched that one first.
I
don't think I would have paid as close attention if I'd watched the other 2.
Sure. Audience is wondering why I didn't want to choose Life Force. From my understanding, Life Force was supposed to be another big hit, and then it wasn't, so everything went downhill. So it was my understanding that maybe it was a better one, and I don't know, I just didn't like the synopsis of it or something. Like I just, for whatever reason, I didn't want to. No real reason.
I think you did a good job with the films this year, like selecting them. I did a terrible job of selecting this last one. Like drawing a name out of a hat is basically what I did. No, I mean, they were well-made films for the most part. Like the majority of them was well-made. 4 out of the 5 were well-made.
And good.
They were well-made.
And good.
Script has something to be deserving, or to worked on.
Good. They're still good.
They were well-made.
And good.
I think I gave 1 over a 50%.
Absolutely ridiculous. That's just absurd. It really is.
I mean, rules are there to be followed.
Well, now that I know there's rules, next year we'll see what happens.
I mean, I don't feel like I created this rule. I just feel like it should be a rule. Don't do it. Just don't do it.
All right.
So, well, it's really good seeing you again.
Yeah, it's good seeing you too, man.
And our producer.
Thank you, sir.
It's been fun.
Yep.
Hopefully the next one is this year.
It will be. Let's make it happen.
Sounds good.
So everybody have a happy Halloween.
Yeah. If you need us, just whistle.
Oh, are we doing that? It's remember, don't be a sucker. It's been a slice whistle thing.
Okay, love you. Bye.